This is my poster for my Macbeth psychoanalysis project. The 3 parts: id, superego, and ego. Ego being the one that everyone else sees, id being like the primitive evil type side, and superego being like the good but not. These two combat to decide what the ego will be. I have 5 quotes for each, and I will show them and then explain them with what I have on the back of the poster, which is ego, superego, and then id. So this is the first quote that I chose for id. And I rotate over to the back, and I decided the theme of the first quote was murder. And for the first quote I said Macbeth is upset at Macduff and views him as an enemy and wants to kill him and protect himself by doing so. And he has Macduff's family murdered for his own security. He doesn't get Macduff because Macduff's over in England, but he does this because he doesn't want a repeat of the Banquo incident. This is the quote for number 2. And I said the theme for number 2 was ambition, and he's talking about his deep, dark, primal aspirations to be king and wants to hide them for the time being because it would be bad if they get out and revealed. And he's talking about how Malcolm is a step which he has to overcome, which affects his pursuit to be king, because this is right after Malcolm is crown prince or whatever. This is my third quote for the id. And for this theme I chose was appearance, and he's talking about his primal feelings will show through, so he has to set up a false face to hide the fact, because this is where his id is starting to take control and starting to have more say in what he does than his superego. And he has to hide what he really wants to do, and he has to go the extra step to hide it, because this is when his id's starting to take control of him. This is the quote that I chose for number 4. And for that, I chose the theme of ambition. And he's ambitious to get rid of Banquo, and his primal side is showing. And he's convinced himself that it'll be good to get rid of Banquo as soon as he can, because Banquo is just a step he has to overcome in his pursuit to be king and keep the crown to himself and his family. And this is the 5th quote I chose for id. And I said the theme of this is evil. I said this quote represents the primal want to murder to get his way, but also represents the effect that the following is having on his mental health. He's losing his wits' end over, and he has convinced himself to kill. This is when his id starts to take the more powerful side, because he's losing his mind slowly, but surely. So the next part is going to be superego. And this is the first quote I chose for superego. And the theme I chose for the first quote is betrayal. And Macbeth's conscience begins to overtake his ambition to be king. Macbeth knows that Duncan can trust him for several reasons, and it's Macbeth's job to keep him safe as the host of the castle, and not to, kill him and overthrow the kingdom. This is his side saying that, well, yes, I do want to be king, but I don't want to murder the king, because that's not what a good host does. This is the second quote for superego. And I said the theme for this quote, the second quote, was ambition. And this quote shows that Macbeth's only motivation is his ambition, which isn't generally a good thing, but it sort of shows how he counteracts the id. He's ambitious to be king, but he doesn't want to kill his way to the top. Yet. His id isn't showing this more powerful side yet. He isn't slipping away. Though he is losing grips on reality, he isn't losing it entirely yet. And then this is my quote for superego number 3. And For the theme for quote 3, I chose ambition again. And Macbeth worries that his kids will not get the crown, showing his growing ambition, but he's not happy to be king. But he wants his kids to be king. His superego wanted the crown earned fairly, whereas his id wanted the crown earned now. So he killed his way there instead of getting the way the superego wanted. This is my quote for the 4th superego. Then I said the theme for quote number 4 is yet again ambition. And Macbeth doesn't care about his own good anymore, or care about anything but his own good anymore. It's too late for him to go back and change. He's too far in. And this is where his id starts dominating his views. This is where his id starts to be the more powerful side, where he gets more greedy and primal and murderous and cares more about himself and preserving his existence than he cares about preserving his appearance and how it's wrong to murder. This is my 5th quote for superego. And for the 5th quote, I chose the theme of fate. And Macbeth ordered to have Banquo murdered, and his wife doesn't know about his plan to do so. His superego realizes the reality of the situation, which is that they killed the king, and the country will repair itself. But in the plan of repairing itself, his plan to be king is in danger. And his superego realizes that, whereas it's just like, let's keep going, let's keep murdering. We don't have anything to worry about besides the people we're killing. And finally, this is the ego. This is my first quote for ego. And for the first quote, I chose the theme of betrayal. And Macbeth suppresses his id in the first quote, the desire to kill Banquo and Fleance, because he knows that it would be socially acceptable and to appear guilty for their murders. He suppresses the id in this quote. The superego wins out, surprisingly. And the desire to kill Banquo and Fleance. He doesn't do it just yet. And then this is the quote for ego 2. And the theme I chose for quote 2 was fate. In this quote, Macbeth suppresses his id again and steers himself away from the murderous thoughts by saying that if there is a chance to be king, it will just come to him. He doesn't want to have to betray or kill anyone yet. I keep saying yet because he starts losing grips on what he really wants to do and starts siding with the primal side as the story progresses. This is the 3rd quote I chose for ego. And the 3rd quote, I chose the theme of guilt. In this quote, Macbeth's ego takes over as he comes to terms with the crimes that he has committed, and is essentially begging for the gods to help him, as he now realizes what he did and drastically regrets it. Because he wants to be king, but he doesn't want to murder. He was manipulated. This is my 4th quote for ego. For my 4th quote, I chose the theme of evil. Macbeth in this quote realizes that the murder of Duncan was just the beginning, and his ego is beginning to sway towards the side of id, so his superego is not weighing in as much when it comes to the deciding part, and he's more concerned about, he's listening more towards the primitive primal side of id, which is that murder's good, murder gets me what I want. And this quote is because he plans to kill Banquo and his son, as he perceives it is what will keep him safe. So he's just literally going to kill his friends to keep himself safe. And that's the decision. And this is the 5th quote for ego. And then for the 5th quote, I chose the theme of guilt. This shows that Macbeth is scared while his id and superego battle. In reality, he is scared of what he has done, the consequences of his actions, and he knows what is coming for him in his future. And the fact is, he cannot get away from it, since the actions he's already committed. He knows he's destined to fail, but he doesn't want to accept that just yet. It's my psychoanalysis project, front and back.